Are you looking to get hired on your next enterprise architect interview? If so, this video is for you. In today's video, we're going to discuss what enterprise architects must demonstrate in their enterprise architect interview in order to be hired. Now, a lot of people struggle with architecture interviews in general because they confuse things like enterprise architecture with engineering. But we enterprise architects are not hired because we know the most technology. We enterprise architects are hired if the company's leadership believes we can help them run their business better. And when it comes to most enterprise architecture interview failures where someone goes on an interview and doesn't get hired, it's typically not because they lack skills. They don't demonstrate the right skills in their actual interview. And today what I'm going to do is show you exactly what you must demonstrate on an enterprise architect interview to be hired and to show it and prove it to the hiring manager. So the first thing you have to be able to prove the hiring manager is business acumen, and you have to be able to show and prove to them you know business. And in interviews, we can easily tell who are the weak architects because they talk about systems. Now, when I have a strong enterprise architect, they talk about business outcomes. And in order to be successful, you need business acumen, which means you need to understand simple things like how the company makes money, what pressures that organization's executive team is actually under, where the organization's costs actually come from, where is the real risk to that organization, and what's really necessary to grow that organization. So on an interview, instead of saying something like, I designed a cloud migration, which will end that interview pretty quickly, say, the business needed to reduce time to market and stabilize operating costs. We redesigned the platform architecture to support faster product releases while improving margins and predictability. Now, if you say something like that, you're showing you're thinking like the client. If you say you designed a cloud migration, so what? What was the impact on the business? And that's the key to all of these architecture roles, is the impact to the business. Now, the next thing you have to be able to show and demonstrate on an enterprise architect interview is executive presence and executive relevance. Now, this is huge. Executive presence means you know how to speak calmly and concisely. You're not over-explaining things. You walk in the room and people take you seriously and want to listen to what you're saying. And ultimately, you're asking the actual question behind the question people are asking. So, for example, if you are asked about a complex architecture decision, don't go there and give a 10-minute technical walkthrough. Instead, say something like, we had 3 options. Option 1, minimized cost. Option 2, minimized risk. And option 3, balanced speed and compliance. We recommend option 3 because it aligns best with our organizations, the C-suite, and the board's growth initiatives. So, that's what we're really there, because the executives are not looking for the details first. They're not. They want judgment, they want clarity, and they want confidence. So strategy influence. Okay, this is going to be key. We have to show how we shape direction inside of that enterprise architect interview. Because we enterprise architects are not engineers. We're not supporting the strategy. We're helping to influence the strategy and helping to create the strategy. So that means if you're in an enterprise architect interview, you must show that you participate in strategy conversations. You know how to translate strategy into an architectural decision. And you have the ability to influence decisions across disparate teams. So in an interview example, you may say something like, the company wanted to expand into new markets quickly. I worked with the organization's leadership to define which capabilities were needed, which ones we could standardize, which ones we should localize, and we shaped the target architecture around that strategy. What you're really doing is you're telling the interviewer you're not waiting for instructions. You're helping to set directions. Now, the key of the enterprise architect, and honestly, cloud architect, security architect, any architect role in general, is we have leadership without authority. So Generally speaking, as an enterprise architect, you don't have 50 direct reports. But you may have to lead a team of 50 people that work for other people. Which means that everything we do, all of our leadership is influence-based, not typically title-based. So instead of on an enterprise architecture interview saying, I told the teams what architecture to use, that shows that you're not thinking correctly to them. Instead, you might say something like, I aligned product, security, and infrastructure leaders around a shared set of principles and trade-offs so the teams can make the best and consistent decisions independently. Again, you're showing real architecture leadership here. Now, emotional intelligence. This is going to separate the real senior architects, those that will move into chief architect positions, CIO positions, from the people that are more junior. And this is one of the most missed opportunities. And here's the thing. We enterprise architects are a finesse position. We're constantly dealing with conflict. We're constantly dealing with competing priorities. We're dealing with all kinds of egos and all kinds of fear of change. So in an interview, you may something like, there was resistance from the teams who felt the architecture was slowing them down. I spent some time understanding their concerns, adjusted the governance to focus on guardrails instead of approvals, and built trust over time. You're showing architecture maturity that way. And executives value maturity in many cases more than brilliance. Stakeholder management. You have to prove you can operate across the enterprise. Stakeholder management is not negotiable. It's half of the job in any architect role. So we enterprise architects have to be able to work across business leaders, engineering, security, finance, and across multiple vendors. So perhaps in an interview, you might say, I map stakeholders early to understand what success looks like for each group and to tailor communications so the architecture decisions land effectively. Now, you might do something even better and say, I treat architecture as a consulting function, not a policing function. And that language is going to resonate with the executive level because you're there to assist, make the business better. Now, communication. Communication, because this is an executive position, needs to be clear, structured, and outcome focused. And we're going to see this and test this on that enterprise architect interview. We're going to make sure that you are up to the task of communicating to executives, being able to communicate across peers, being able to communicate even to technical teams. And in the interview, you can use some structured examples and ways that you can do it. There was a problem X, the constraints were Y. We evaluated these three options. We chose option Z because that would result in the most measurable business improvement. Clear structure signals clear thinking. So the real hiring test. Here's the real test in every enterprise architecture interview. Leadership is going to have to ask themselves this question. Can I put this person in front of my peers, my board, and my teams? And will they trust them? Now, if you demonstrate business acumen and strong executive presence, strategic influence, leadership, and emotional intelligence, you're looking great. You add some stakeholder management and clear communication. And you won't be just past the interview. You'll be seen as a peer. And that's how executive architects and enterprise architects and all architects for that matter get hired. Now, if you'd like to become an enterprise architect, a security architect, a cloud architect, an AI architect, we run 2 free weekly architecture webinars. And on these free webinars, which you can sign up for in the description of this video, we'll talk about what we do in the various architecture roles, the skills you need in these various architecture roles, how you can get your first architect job, and many more things. And you can ask me any question you want on these free architecture webinars. They're live and free on Zoom, and I'll be happy to do anything I can to help you build your enterprise architect, cloud architect, security architect, or AI architect career on these free webinars. So make sure you sign up for the free architecture webinars. As I mentioned, the link is in the description of this video. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell to be notified of new videos to assist you in your architecture career. This is Mike Gibbs signing off for now, and I hope to see you either in a free webinar, one of our architecture training programs, our classes, or, of course, another YouTube video. Take care, everyone.